our ability to play run defense, our ability to tackle in the open field, that's a major part of this game plan going forward.
Anything changes when a team has two backs that they use a bunch as opposed to last week or even the week before?
Yeah, it's probably just each guy has a little different style. They run sort of the same plays with both guys. There's really not a tendency there. Some people have guys they exclusively use in certain, in certain plays, but not the Lions. So it's just really just an awareness of which guy is out there and, sort of what his style is.
Kind of going back to that initial question, the types of runs that you see on film from them, is that different anyway from what you've seen the first 3 weeks? Like, it seemed like on Monday night they were doing a lot of duo and whatnot.
Green Bay ran a lot of duo. Baltimore runs a lot of duo. The base runs that Lions run are duo and wide zone strong, wide zone weak. Which they're not unique plays. They just have really good players. They have good blockers up front. Their tight ends are good. Their running backs are good. And one of the things that's impressed me with the Lions is how tough their wide receivers are as blockers. All their guys, known as sort of marquee wide receivers, and a lot of times, those guys will sort of accentuate the route running and things like that. And all these guys will go dig out safeties. They'll block the backside. They're really good blocking corners and all that other stuff. So, we gotta do a good job getting off those blocks too. But that's really impressed me with the Lions.
So you've always seemed a little less likely to engage in, for lack of a better term, that kind of trash talk, at least publicly. Why is that?
Does it really affect the game? Maybe it makes things nice for you guys or for, people to say stuff or whatever. I don't play the game. I'm just out there trying to put a good plan together. I'm trying to put our guys in position and turn the game over to them. So anything that I think or anything that I would engage in my mind, just is distracting from what our job is. So we'll keep it there. Players on the field will decide the game and not anything else.
Coupled with their running game, Goff is one of the best play fakers, I guess, in the league. So how does that affect your preparation to train your guys not to bite on it?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different things you're looking at. Not often are you looking at the quarterback, right? You're looking at a tight end or a blocker or a receiver, the edge man. So we have to, number one, do a good job with our keys. But so much of their, what they do is run and then play action. A lot of under center stuff where a lot of that, where a lot of those play actions come from. And I think that another layer to neutralizing the play action game, like I talked about the checkdowns that come after it. You play deep, and then all of a sudden Gibbs has got the ball with some air in there. That's tough. That's a tough situation. But generally, the play action game is dependent on the run game being effective. And just to go back to the original thing, if we can neutralize the run game, then I think that does have a little effect on neutralizing the play action game also. But runs, play action, screens. They're probably the leader in the NFL when it comes to combining all three of those things on first and second down. So we'll have to take away what they do best, and every play is going to be a battle. They got a lot of playmakers, different positions, good quarterback, good offensive line. So we'll have our work cut out for us.
Goes for it so much on fourth down. They're just an aggressive team. In all phases. I think they're like 7 for 8 on fourth down. Does that change your approach, and how important is it from a mental standpoint for players to realize that even when you get that third down stop, you might not be getting off the field?
Yeah, it definitely plays into it. Just because, on third and whatever, make it 3rd and 10. Usually you can give up eight yards and punt teams coming on the field, right? These guys, it's not the case. And it's not just in the plus territory. The NFL is, trended toward a lot of teams going for it on fourth down in the plus territory. These guys will go for it in their own territory. They'll go for it, midfield. They'll go for a little bit longer fourth downs. So just knowing that going in, it layers your calls just a little bit different. It really doesn't change. It really doesn't change our attitude, but maybe what you're willing to give up on a third down might not be the same this week as in other weeks.
You said that it has a lot to do with the players, but do they do a little bit more of some of the deception and trickery and creative little motions and shifts and things like that more so than anybody else, or is it just that they're executing it really well?
I would put it more on the latter. We see about every shift in motion known to mankind, and Green Bay was very intricate with theirs, and that was a major part of what we were trying to do was, to adjust to all those things. And, whether it was man or zone and how you're, blitz and all those different things, it puts a lot of stress on you. Detroit's no different that way. But, like I said, Green Bay had good players at the positions. Baltimore's had good players at the positions since he's, I think back I was in Tennessee and Norm Chow was in his first year in the NFL. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, he came to me and asked when we get to the weaker teams on the schedule. And it's like, look, bro, they're all tough as the NFL, but we certainly had our work cut out for us, just one good offense after another. So, we're sort of used to it. We know who their playmakers are, and we got playmakers of our own.
A special teams play, but Denzel, the way he can come around the edge on to almost block that kick, get a finger on it, whatever, before Shelby blocks it. Like Bubba said, the way he moves allows him to be so versatile. Just how have you seen that in your few years here?
Yeah, Denzel's the best corner I've had, and I heard a long time ago somebody said you can tell the effort of your team / defense on how they rush field goals and PATs. And it's not just when the game's on the line the way Denzel's was. Watch PATs in the first quarter. He rushes the exact same way. So, he's not a guy that just turns it on in a particular time. He brings it hard all the time and lays out. Like when you lay out like that, it's like being in a car wreck when you hit the ground. But he's willing to do that for our team, for his teammates. And, he does a lot of good things in coverage, but that might go a little bit below the radar in one of his contributions.
Their interior offensive line, relatively new. Just what have you seen out of that? Those three guys in the middle, and just how they over the first 3 games.
Yeah, well, the strength of their offensive line has been their tackles, and there has been some changeover, but with the way they run the ball, good in their pass protection and things like that. It's hard to point to anything as being a step back for those guys. Just like any team, they put new guys in and expect them to contribute the same way. Heavy double teamers, which, there's a lot of different things that are involved in that. Your defensive line, your linebackers have to fill gaps, all that different stuff. It's a physical offensive line, so it's going to be a good matchup.
Mason, you're looking for more in the pass rush. Did you see that against the Packers? In his first half sack seemed like.
Yeah, maybe did it work?
You got something else?
Yeah, no, I'm not a send messages to the players thing. I know where they are. I can talk to them at any time. But it was just being honest. We just needed to see a little bit more. And Malik has been very, very effective. But I think part of what we're seeing with Miles and Malik and some of our other edge guys like Zay and Alex is it's opening up more opportunities, and Mason's been taking advantage of those. So he's trending in the right direction. He's been playing the run really well, but I thought our interior pass rush against Green Bay had a lot to do with us being able to sort of neutralize their offense and keep the score down and keep us in that game.
That they did some things to try to keep Miles from getting back on the field when he was not on the field. So is that something that you're going to have to kind of contend with going forward when teams see that at all?
Yeah, that's not new. A lot of teams do that. A lot of teams on offense, and not many guys. First, Miles has been clicked up just a little bit in his number of snaps, trying to play just a little bit more. You have to balance that with keeping him fresh for the fourth quarter and, over the whole season and things like that. But he's put such a big commitment into to playing more, and we certainly respect that. But probably every offensive coordinator has a little box on their, big Chinese menu that they use that says number 95 not in the game. Whether it's, how they're going to try to run the ball, like, hey, look, they don't like running at him or they don't like running away from him. But now that he's not in the game, hey, let's try this. Or, like, hey, pass without a chip, whatever. They all have that little box. And, there's a lot of people that'll try to keep him off the field when he's not on. The biggest challenge is probably when you're on either end of the field. It's pretty easy to get him on and off the field, even on third down when you're in the middle of the field, because he's generally running him for a defensive end that's pretty close. When you get down in the red zone or down in the backed up situation where we had one, hard to get him out on the field. So, that's something that's, we see every week. That's not unique.
Think from the Detroit Green Bay game, or is that just game one-off?
No, I thought Green Bay did some really good things. I mean, they were able to pressure the passer. I thought that was a big thing. They swarmed. They flew around. I mean, it was impressive to watch the way that they pursued to the ball. And, like I said, you're going to need all 11 because some of those running backs can break tackles or make you miss in the open field. Their pursuit was really good in that game. And I thought they did a really good job of leveraging and vicing all the checkdowns. And Detroit didn't get a lot of yards off of those. So, that's not a news flash. Try to pressure the quarterback, tackle well in the open field, and, don't give up chunks on checkdowns. Football 101, but easier said than done. Easy for me to say, easy in theory, difficult in execution, particularly when you have playmakers like they do.
What did you learn from your time in Detroit?
Oh, a lot of things. I really enjoyed my time there. My family did. I loved the players. I loved the city. Really loved the organization. I've been back a couple times since. Now that I'm in the AFC, and when I was with the Eagles, it was hard. It was hard to root for them when you weren't playing them because, like, they're in the same, in the same conference, and you don't want any of those NFC teams to win. Now that I'm here, you can root for them. I admire what Dan's done with the team. They're in his image. They play tough. They play physical. So it'll be fun to go against them. It's been a minute. I think maybe 16 or 17 was the last time played in Detroit. So still got a lot of friends there. Very grateful for my time there. Yep.